Oye, Gil, ¿y si sí?
¿Y por qué no? ¿Y por qué no? Sí, no. Nosotros vamos a, pues a darlo todo para alcanzar el objetivo que tenemos.
Mexico has a player who is not normal, under the spell of Gilberto Mora, a 17-year-old kid who plays like he's already seen football 10 years into the future. This Mexican national team genuinely might have a shot at something they've never pulled off at a World Cup, because Gilberto Mora sees things other players simply can't see. He plays passes before the space even exists. He receives the ball like the pressure around him is happening in slow motion. And that left foot looks like it belongs to a generational talent. But here's the wildest part. It's not even just the quality, it's the age. Gilberto Mora Jr. just became the youngest player ever to start a match for the Mexican national team at 17 years and 253 days old, smashing Manuel Rosas' record of 18 years and 87 days. And it gets even crazier. The Tijuana Wonder Kid also became the youngest player to start a World Cup match since Nigeria's Fortune Onyebuchi pulled it off at 17 years and 101 days back in 2002. We're not talking about ordinary hype here. We're talking about historic, jaw-dropping precocity. Mora Jr. keeps shattering records like they were custom-built just for him.
Sí, Mora. Con 17, yo lo entiendo perfectamente. Quiero decirte que Mateo, Obed, Gil, tiene 20, 21, 19, 17, yo qué sé. Pero más allá de eso, están preparadísimos.
Youngest player to debut in Liga MX. Youngest player to score in Mexican football. Youngest player to register an assist in Liga MX. Youngest player to win an international tournament with Mexico. And now, in his first World Cup start against Czechia, he played like none of it was too big for him. He showed incredible personality, he played with a maturity that makes zero sense for his age, and he was directly decisive in 2 of Mexico's 3 goals. Precise passes, perfect timing, the kind of decision-making you'd expect from a battle-tested veteran, not a 17-year-old kid carrying an entire nation's creative hopes on his shoulders. The stage didn't scare him, his legs didn't shake, he didn't hide, and he didn't play it safe. He responded like a footballer with years of top-flight experience already behind him. Mexico has a jewel in their hands, and the scary part is this wasn't just one good game. Just 2 years ago, Gilberto Mora was making his Liga MX debut. 1 year ago, he was lifting the Gold Cup with Mexico, starting all 3 knockout matches and producing an assist that looked straight out of Messi's playbook.
Ahora y por primera vez vamos a traer a la sub-23 a entrenar. Hagan el mejor equipo posible de la sub-17, sub-19 y sub-23. Y incluyen a Gilberto. Nosotros jugamos una cosa que se llama fútbol de ubicación. El que juega el Manchester City con Guardiola y otros clubes, tratamos de jugar así. Y usted tiene un espacio de cuadrados donde usted tiene que estar ahí posicionado. Si usted me muestra que es capaz de jugar ahí, va a tener su oportunidad. Y él lo muestra y ahí no tuve ninguna duda. Este niño tiene que jugar porque es un lujo verlo en los entrenos cuando se complementa con los que entienden el juego como él. Eso es lo de él, no me pertenece a mí. Ahora, en lo que sí le hemos aportado mucho es tratarlo de ubicarlo en el campo donde él pueda mostrar todo su talento.
Then he went to the Under-20 tournament and played levels above almost everyone else on the pitch. 3 goals, 2 assists, and now at just 17, he's already racked up 10 goals and 2 assists at the professional level with Tijuana. Real Madrid want him, Barcelona want him, and after this World Cup, trust me, they won't be the only ones lining up because his talent is something else entirely. South Africa couldn't control him. Czechia couldn't control him either. Right now, Javier Aguirre has just delivered Mexico's best group stage in World Cup history. 9 points from 9, 6 goals scored, 0 conceded. But beyond the perfect record, beyond the clean sheets, beyond every stat sheet, the real victory for El Tri is something far bigger. Gilberto Mora has shown he's ready to lead the creative engine of this national team, and that might be the difference, not just for one match or one tournament, but for the entire future of Mexican football. Don't believe it? Take a look at history. The FIFA World Cup is the biggest sporting stage on the planet, and more than anything, it's the perfect launchpad for young players to announce themselves to the world. History has already shown us that teenagers can walk into a World Cup as mere promises and walk out as global superstars. Pelé did it in 1958. At just 17, he arrived with a knee injury and missed Brazil's first 2 matches. But once the knockout rounds hit, he delivered one of the greatest breakout performances football has ever witnessed. Quarterfinals, the only goal in a 1-0 win over Wales, becoming the youngest goal scorer in World Cup history. Semifinals, he tore apart Just Fontaine's France with a hat trick in just 23 minutes. Final against Sweden, 2 goals in a 5-2 win, including that iconic flick and volley over a defender inside the box. That wasn't just a breakout, that was the birth of a legend. Then came Kylian Mbappe at Russia 2018. At 19, Mbappe wasn't just part of the France team that won it all. He became the weapon that made Deschamps' side terrifying on the counter. Against Argentina in the round of 16, he produced one of the most explosive performances of the modern era. 2 goals and a 1 penalty after a ridiculous run from his own half at over 30 kilometers per hour, tearing Argentina to shreds. Then, in the final against Croatia, he scored again and became the first teenager to score in a World Cup final since Pelé in 1958. 4 goals total, best young player of the tournament. That's the level we're talking about. So the question is obvious, who's going to be that player this summer? Because the amount of young talent at this World Cup is absolutely ridiculous. Jude Bellingham, who's already on the score sheet, Rayan Cherki, one of the most spectacular players on the planet, Ayo Bade, who dominated Brazil's midfield like he's been playing World Cup football for a decade, Yandio Mande, leaving Ecuador and Germany watching from behind, Lamine Yamal, already untouchable, Endrick, Brazil's most dangerous weapon off the bench, Joel Neves, essential to Roberto Martinez's Portugal, Pau Cubarsí, already one of the best center-backs on the planet at a ridiculous age, Desiree Doué, the conqueror of Europe, Nico Pass, who carried Como into Europe. Every single one of them is special. Every single one of them can flip a match on its head. Every single one looks like the future of football. But Gilberto Mora is shining with his own light because he isn't doing this in a comfortable bubble. He isn't a luxury piece in a squad full of superstars. He's doing it at the most important moment in Mexican national team history. He's doing it in a World Cup, partly hosted on his own soil. He's doing it with the weight of an entire nation pressing down on him. And somehow, at 17, he looks completely ready for it. In a country that never stops producing hope on the football pitch, Gilberto Mora has arrived as a genuine anomaly. Not because of where he's from, not because of his physique, not even because of his age. The anomaly is in how he plays, how he reads the pitch, how he receives the ball, how he decides before everyone else has even processed what's happening. The strange thing isn't that Gilberto Mora is 17. The strange thing is that sometimes he plays like he's 30. Born in Tuxtla Gutierrez in 2008 and developed thousands of kilometers from his native Chiapas, Mora made his Tijuana first-team debut at just 15 years and 10 days old, becoming the 3rd youngest debutant in Liga MX history. Minutes later, he produced an assist and became the youngest assister in league history too, wearing number 251, a number that looked like a simple academy tag at first, but with every passing game started feeling more like the serial number of a prototype built ahead of its time. Just 1 year before that debut, Mora was still grinding through youth football minutes. At 14, he was already with Tijuana's under-19 side. In 2024, he played 826 minutes in the Apertura, 39% of available minutes, then 54% in the Clausura 2025. Already ridiculous numbers for a teenager, but the actual impact ran even deeper. Youngest goal scorer in tournament history, a starter in a Gold Cup semifinal, decisive in reaching the final. And not just any assist. Against Honduras, Mora produced a pass that only truly special players can even see. He scanned the Honduran mid-block, identified the exact gap, attacked it perfectly, and received into space. But it wasn't just physical execution. Mentally, he was already a full step ahead. One movement left his marker stranded. Then the magic. Mora spotted a passing lane nobody else could see and slipped the ball perfectly into Raul Jimenez, who finished it brilliantly. That's the thing about Mora. The records are eye-popping, but the real shock is his ability to play at the rhythm of the biggest nights. In the Gold Cup final against the United States, with the entire stadium waiting to see if the kid would finally crack under pressure, He played with 93% pass accuracy, no nerves, no unnecessary flash, no panic, no mistakes. And by winning that tournament in 2025 at 16 years and 265 days old, Gilberto Mora became the youngest footballer ever to lift an international title with Mexico. His status as a clutch performer is becoming undeniable. Every big night, he shows up. At the 2025 Under-20 World Cup, Mora looked like the best player on the pitch despite being 2 years younger than many of his opponents. Against Brazil, he rescued Mexico late with an 85th-minute assist. Then came his masterpiece against Spain, his first goal. Showed extraordinary composure, receiving inside the box and calmly slotting past the keeper like pressure simply didn't exist for him. Later in that same match, with Mexico desperate for a result, Mora stepped up again. Minute 85, a perfectly struck volley, another equalizer, another rescue mission. That goal kept Mexico's qualification hopes alive after 2 opening draws. Then in the round of 16, another moment of pure class, controlling a long pass from midfield on his first touch, immediately turning provider and laying it perfectly into Tahel Jimenez for a clinical finish. 5 goal contributions in 5 matches. And somehow what he's doing at this World Cup feels even bigger. In his first World Cup start, he played like the most experienced man on the Mexican roster. 1 pre-assist, 2 key passes, 1 shot, 18 carries, 31 touches. It took him a bit to settle, but once he found his rhythm, his passing started dismantling Czechia piece by piece. In a sport that keeps getting faster every year, Mora makes the ball move without needing to sprint himself. He starts wide left, cuts inside onto his stronger right foot, combines in tight spaces, touches only when it matters, and carries when the moment calls for it. He's not a high-volume player, but every time he touches the ball, the game organizes itself around him. When he carries, defenders get dragged out of position. When he turns, space opens up like magic. That's exactly what happened against Czechia. Beyond the raw numbers, the details make his profile even more special. One thing he showed against Czechia that can't be ignored: his ability to receive with his back to goal and spin out of pressure within seconds. Every ball that reaches him has one purpose: go forward. Mexico has almost never produced a midfielder built like this. In world football generally, there are very few players who think the game this way. That match also revealed something even bigger. Mora is becoming the true conductor of El Tri. He drops to link with midfielders. He drags defenders out of shape. He accelerates from interior zones. He breaks defensive lines with his carries. He's not simply a forward or a winger. He's the man dictating how and when Mexico actually plays. And when he receives the ball in the number 10 pocket, that's where the real magic happens. The speed at which he spots the opportunity and executes the pass is elite level. Just look at the passes he produced against Czechia. First, the 1-2 with Piojo Alvarado that sliced through the opponent's last line. Then the perfectly weighted ball to Romo that left him completely alone. It doesn't matter where Mora receives the ball. He'll find the gap regardless. His scanning gives him a full 360-degree picture of the pitch, and because of that, he almost always makes the correct decision. Mora thinks the entire game through passing and carrying, and Mexico's second goal proved exactly that. Gilberto picked up the ball in his own half, eliminated opponents with a single movement, carried at a controlled tempo, scanned the field, and spotted Jorge Sanchez attacking the space behind the back line. Then he threaded the pass into the precise zone between the defense and the keeper. That's the kind of pass only Gilberto Mora can produce in this Mexican setup. What followed turned into chaos, a deflection, a carom, a Mexico goal, but the origin of the entire move was Mora's brain. This kind of performance is not normal. Mexico has genuinely never had a player quite like this. His football IQ operates on a different level. His composure runs deeper than the Aztec Stadium itself, and he showed it not only against Czechia but also in his World Cup debut against South Africa, when he dared to do what others wouldn't: hit the ground fighting for a midfield ball, popped back up, and immediately produced a back heel loaded with intention into Piojo Alvarado, who then assisted Raul Jimenez on a move that nearly ended in a penalty. Once again, it started with Mora. In just 2 matches, he's already forced opponents into triple marking him, because if they don't, his magic destroys them completely. He's a brain that keeps breaking matches even as his legs start to tire. We saw it at the Under-20 World Cup. We're seeing it right now. He can adapt, and pop up in any zone of the pitch. As a left interior in a midfield three, he shines just the same, controlling tempo, slowing the game when it needed, accelerating on command, and pressing with genuine intelligence. So the question is no longer whether Gilberto Mora is a promise. The question is how far this can actually go. Football is never an exact science, especially with teenagers, but the signs here are strong, genuinely strong. Mora hasn't just emerged through stats and highlight reels, he's emerged through patterns of maturity that make absolutely no sense for his age. His ability to read timing, stay composed under pressure, carry the ball with real purpose, and detect space makes him one of the most serious projects Mexico has produced in the last decade. Barcelona have already offered him a trial. Manchester City have watched him closely. Real Madrid are tracking him with serious intent. And honestly, it all makes sense. There are very few players anywhere with that combination of vision, technique, and ice-cold composure at 17 years old. Of course, he still has growing to do physically since his body is still that of a teenager. Tactically, since his current team doesn't always maximize what he offers. Mentally, since early success can carry real weight. But the most important thing is, he's already there. He has his own game, a solid game, a clear and defined identity. He doesn't need 90 touches to make an impact. He just needs to show up when the moment demands it. And when it does, he answers. In Gilberto Mora, there isn't just promise, there's presence right now. He isn't only the youngest player to make history, assist, score, or lift the Gold Cup. He's a footballer who thinks the entire game through the pass, through the carry, through the space he creates. He doesn't get blinded by the moment. He doesn't disconnect under pressure. He plays from a place of maturity that simply shouldn't exist at 17. And that is exactly why this World Cup has a serious problem named Gilberto Mora.